Hi good people, welcome back to the final video of the Frogger series, and today we're going to be adding the sound effects that we made in the previous video. Let's not waste any time and just jump right into it. Alright, so I think starting off we will create a new folder that we'll call audio. Go ahead and open that up, and I'm going to bring up the sound effects we made. So we made just a single honk sound effects, but if you were ambitious you could have made the same ones for different car types. And then we made a death and a hop sound effects, and then we imported one of the standard default template songs called Another Winter. So I'm just going to highlight all these, drag them all in, and the import should just be quick and automatic. If we want to hear any of the sound effects, we can just click on them and then they can play through. You can see the various different effects that we got going here. Alright, so these are perfect. So I think starting off, maybe we'll get the theme song going. I think it makes you can probably put that in a number of different areas, but for this prototype, I think we'll just add it to the game manager. So we'll open up BP_game manager, and then we can come into the event graph, and we have a lot going on here, but it's easiest probably just to use the event begin play node, because that automatically fires when this thing is basically spawned, so when the game starts. So I can pull off this and do a simple play sound. For this project we're going to be using the 2D sound. The difference between 2D and 3D sound is a 2D sound will play at the same level no matter where you are, and a 3D sound has the ability to basically have where it like fades in and out depending on your location. There is a caveat with that though. It uses the player's camera to determine how that happens. So for a first-person character, you know, there's no problem because the camera's in the head. You walk around, you get close to a sound, you hear it loudly, you walk farther away, it gets lower and lower until it fades out. For a third-person character, it doesn't work too well because your camera's up in the air, so it's always going to sound kind of low, so you will have to like account for that. But for this project, we'll just do play sound 2D. It's easy enough. And then the song was called Another Winter. So I'll do that one here, and then I'm just going to leave the defaults alone. I think these are fine. And then if we compile, save, give it a test. And now we have a background theme song that'll play as we make our way through the project. And we kind of forgot to move the character back, but that's fine, we can make that work. So we'll want to add some hop effects and some car effects, and maybe the death state effects, so we can get that stuff sort of going here. So we have our theme song. I think the next we'll do is probably just the hop sound. You could do that in the player blueprint, but another way to do it is we can actually come into the art folder and then open up Frogger, and we can actually put the sound directly on the animation. So it's going to be this little jump animation here. So if we double click to open that one up, in a previous video we did one for the Niagara effect, so I can just basically pause this and maybe find an appropriate frame. So maybe I'll try there, see how this works. We'll add a notify state that'll be called play sound, and we can select play sound and just pick any sound. I believe I called it hop, and then if we play, okay, that works great. So we could save that and give that a test. Alright. Maybe some adjustments are needed, but overall I think that sounds pretty good. Alright, that works. So what we can do now that we have our hop sound, we can work on playing, I think we can play the death state for the water, because I think that'll be easy. In our level blueprint, if we click here, choose open level blueprint, we have a trigger box, which is actually this trigger box in the water here. So this one. So when the player overlaps with this trigger box, it kicks off this event, which casts to the player and checks if the thing it overlapped with was indeed the player. And if it is, it plays a death sound, or a death event called water death. We can just pull off this and just do a play sound 2D. And then we can just call our Frogger death event here. So if we compile and save, and then we'll start up the project, and then I'll just jump in the water and we'll see if the effect plays. Alright, perfect. Alright, and then the last bit of sound effects that we need are the various car honks. That one's a little tricky. You could, of course, play the sound effects on the various blueprints for the sedan, truck, and the Cadillac. Another way you can do it, though, and the way we're going to do it, is we're actually going to open up the parent class, which is the BP underscore moving objects that those vehicles inherit from. And we can use this to actually drive the logic for the sound. So we have an overlap event because the parent has this overlap cube that we use. And then we check if it overlaps with the player. If it does, we make sure the player's not already dead. And if they're not, we call the car death event. What we can do here is we can add in 2 branch nodes by holding B and clicking in the graph. And then on the true pin, we can call play sound 2D. And for this one, I will do the truck honk number 2. I am going to lower the volume because I think that one is a bit loud. I think they're all a little bit loud, honestly. So I'm going to cut it in half. And then what I can do is just press Control D to duplicate these twice. And then I'm going to hook this one up over here and this one like so. So this covers 3 different sounds depending on some condition. But I don't want to play the truck honk. I want to do different ones. So we'll do car honk and then car honk number 2. So all the volume's cut in half. That's great. I'll reduce that so our nodes are a little bit cleaner, like so. So now we just need to figure out our logic. So what we can do is off the condition, we can pull into what's called a starts with, which is a string node. The string node will take in a source string, and it can compare it with some prefix. So obviously for the truck honk one, I can check if that comes, or if that matches with BP underscore truck. And then for the car one, I can check either the Cadillac or the sedan, it doesn't matter. So I'll just check one of them. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use the overlap component. And we'll get the display name of that overlap component, which is like a string node. I'll drag this over here. And then we can just hook this into the source string for both of these, like so. So it'll check if it's the truck, it'll play the truck sound. Then it'll check if it's the sedan, it'll play the sedan sound. And if it's not, it'll play the Cadillac sound. So if we compile and save, this happens on impact. Actually, one last thing I want to do before I forget is we're going to grab the player start, reset it so it goes back over here. And then I'm just going to move it right here since we're good with the water. All right, that looks good. Alright, so our truck sounds pretty good. Let's see if we can get the sedan. That looks pretty good. And we'll try the Cadillac for my last life. Alright, that works pretty good. Alright everyone, this concludes the Frogger series, but I hope you found some informative value in recreating this classic arcade game that you can take in your own projects. But as always, thanks for watching, consider subscribing, and we'll see you on the next one.